Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Maniacal S10 Shopping Garage. I'm Mike Howell, and a Merry Christmas and a safe, blessed one to everyone out there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Welcome to and welcome back to my channel. Today on Maniacal S10 Shopping Garage, we're doing the valve cover gasket and just an inspection on the 010 Aveo, the ECOTEC 1.6. The reason I'm doing this is, for one, the valve cover gasket getting a bit dried out and brittle from the heat, wear and tear. It was done at 98,000 with the time I built it at the dealership. Well, this year in September, I was at an out-of-state car show and was informed by a oil additive company that the early demise for the GM ECOTEC 1.6 was sludge buildup in the head. Well, I was curious. The dealership didn't tell me, and I, of course, didn't think any sludge buildup because oil change intervals at 5 to 6, 6 to 7,000 miles, or in other mileage that I do, 3 to 5, 5 to 7. But I don't use high mileage. I never have. I got nothing against it. I just don't use it. I use full synthetic. It dissipates heat a lot better. And I was not told of any sludge, and I didn't think nothing of it. I took off the oil cap, which I have the valve cover here. I already took the liberty of going and taking it off, and I'll show you all this a little later here in the video. And the oil cap, I take it off. I can see the camshaft and one of the camshaft caps. It all looked clean to me, what you could see through that hole, and I didn't think anything of it till I was told that. And I thought, okay, I just want to see if the head actually did sludge up or not. Couldn't see any sludge, so I'm looking to pursue this more into seeing for sure, taking the valve cover off, which I'm glad I did, because on an average, okay, she's got 154,000 and change on the clock now. Had 98,000 on the clock when I had the time belt done and the valve cover was taken off to do this. So I'm figuring 54,000 and 2,000 more of that, 56,000 miles. The valve cover gas seal needs to be changed. And I took it off. Bit of a chore to get the valve cover off because the seal had sealed really good to the head. But you can see seepage. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bolts holding it down. Torque's at 89 inch-pounds. So I just round off 90 and do 45, 45. That's the way I do it. And you make your own torque sequence. Not a problem. Inch-pounds, don't forget, not foot-pounds. Not good. And as you can see, I cleaned the valve cover off, inside and out. Didn't need much. I just did it because I wanted to. Didn't need it though. And with the oil cap off, as soon as it comes loose here to do such, with only that size of a hole, I could see what I wanted to see. I just want to see more of what I couldn't see. And paper towel, a little bit of residue here, no biggie, cap, and that's taken care of. Now, something else I want to show you. Give me just a second. SAE 5W30. Standard in American Engineering is what that SAE stands for. And the 5W30 means 5 weight, wintertime, warms up to 30 weight. just the way the chemical compound of full synthetic works and conventional motor oil is the way it works. As you can see, the hole there, a bit better, a little bit of residue, but I'll get that off here right quick. No biggie. Okay. And as you can see, it was a bit tedious getting this, I want to call it dust out. And the other side was even more tedious. I just did it because I wanted to. And look at the cracks and the crevices. Not bad cracks, just cracks and crevices to clean out. That's where the PCV valve hose hooks to. So there you see it. Okay, now then, leave that like so. I'm going to get ready to show you how I put the gasket on. This is all the first time for me doing a 4-cylinder front-wheel drive for this year of an 010, 09 to 11 is the same, but the first time I've done it and on my own car. Now, the seal, I don't call it a gasket, but some people do, a lot of people don't. I call it a seal because there's no cork into this. It's just rubber seal. And in comparisons, this is a new one. Of course, it's flexible. The old one was getting brittle, on the verge of breaking. So let's get this on, and it can only go on one way. And now then, you have this odd looking end, which goes to what we would call the front of the motor. And let's see here what we've got. All right, flip this over. Oh, by the way, this can only go on one way, and if you can see this, the splines of the seal press fit, keeps it secure while you put the valve cover on. And this bit of a lip ring here around all of the seal can only go on one way. So there's no mistake in this. It'll dictate to you which way it needs to go on, or to tell you which way it's going to go on. So far, so good. So for me, I'm going to be doing a valve cover change, 50,000 mile intervals. Also want to see how many miles I can get on the motor before I need to rebuild. Yeah, I plan on rebuilding it. I've also seen on YouTube, there's a gentleman on there that's told a interesting but horrifying story of what happens timing one of these ECOTEC 1.6s, that if you do something, you're in a whole lot of trouble. You don't want to do it. I'll show you when we get out to the car. And the head is clean as a whistle. There's a little bit of varnish. That's just varnish and carbon buildup from some miles on the oil from the change. That's on the head where the cams are at, dual overhead DOHC. It's normal. Don't worry about it. Don't be messing with the camshafts and the timing nubs, which I'll show you when we get out there. If you happen to knock one of them off, you're in a whole heap of deep trouble. the cams have got to be shimmed, and I found out earlier while I was taking this valve cover off that there's the cam caps has got numbers on them. That means the thousands that they're shimmed. The cams have to be shimmed. Something that I can't do. So that would have to be done by a machinist that knows what he's doing, got years of experience. And right now, I don't know of anyone that really wants to mess with that head. Just easier and cheaper to buy another head already set up. But I'm hoping to not go that direction. And I don't plan on breaking them off. And what that gentleman said on YouTube, it's all too easy because there's a special tool. You have to lock all that in place so it doesn't jump time when you put the time belt on. Because one gets knocked off, you're in trouble right then and there. Okay. I'm going to go do this by hand. It's fitted. Now I'm just pressing to make sure. It's got a raised area for it to seal to the head. And she reaches 200,000, I'll do this all over again. It's just the way it is for me. I take care of my cars and they take care of me. I go the extra. My videos show that. Okay, give me just a second. And here it is. All done by hand, no tools, and it's all fitted. Looking really, really, really good. Now these are around the spark plug holes. Once these go bad, start cracking, your spark plug wells or holes kind of puts you in mind of a Hemi setup. Spark plug wires go to the valve cover. Well, valve cover, Hemi head, but this is not a Hemi head, but it's a hemispherical head. Similar design to the Hemis back in my day. But when these start going bad, oil seeps into the hole here, gets to the spark plug, not to the electrodes of the spark plug. That's in the head itself. But the porcelain part of the plug starts filling up with oil. So just be aware of that. Keep an eye on it. And then once it gets up into the coil rail, it gives all kinds of trouble. So let's go out to the car. Follow me. Okay, we're out to the garage now, and I'm in front of Hilton Aveo. I'm going to get the camera turned around and show you more of what I'm talking about and some other info that's important, at least in my opinion. And you can judge it from there whether you need to do that or not, but I suggest to do it. So let's get it turned around. Okay. Here's the head, of course. There's the dual camshafts. Now, if I get this to focus, here are the cam caps. If I get this to focus good enough, see the numbers? I do believe that that is the thousands that the camshaft is shimmed from that video I watched from that gentleman that said not to break the tabs or nubs off. I'll show you what he's talking about that I'm talking about. This got to be done by the shop and professional knows what's going on. And by finger, see the nubs or tabs? You break that off, you're in a whole heap of trouble. So be very careful. They make a special tool for this to keep the cams from turning while you use the going to the front of the motor to put time belt on for the cam sensors. One here for this cam and one here for that one. They're undercover. So that's for the timing of it. And the nubs work the sensors there and there. So the timing knows what it needs to do. And these cam sensors is censored by oil pressure. Yeah, that's a whole lot of intricate work right here. Now when these seals on the valve cover, you see a bit of a oil ring right there. No, there's no harm done. But when those seals start going bad and these wells for the spark plugs start filling up with oil, now that causes trouble too, because the core rail and the chose for the spark plug to fire goes down in there. Kind of puts me in the mind of cow udders. Yeah, let me give you a show here of this. See what you think. And there they are. That's why they fit down in there. Just like so. But that's me, it's old school. Reminds me of cow udders. Yeah, have a laugh. But that's what I look at it. It's core rail. Okay. Now for the pipe cleaners. That's just to hold the wiring out of the way so you can lift it right up and put it right back on. There's the injectors I did a prior video on. I've got it all held up. My bungee cords clear out of the way. First and foremost, unhook the battery. Now there's a wire that hooks to the GR that I unplug, and there's also a sensor. It's an oil pressure sensor down at the bottom. I unplugged that just above the oil pan to the front of the motor on this side. If I could get it to focus, which I doubt, but it's right down in that area. Let's go under the car, unclip it, and you get more slack with this wiring harness, as you can see jiggling. That's the reason I do that. But yeah, 2 thousandths, 3 thousandths, 4 thou, 5 thou. Wow, okay. 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's only 4 caps, so go figure. There's a 6, 7, 8, 9. And there's not a number 1, so it doesn't number, because there's a 9 to right there, and the lowest number is 2. There's no 1, so it doesn't number the caps. But remember which cap that goes where, and for the thousands for it to be shinned, but that's for the professional to do. I was not trained to do nothing like this. I'm the old school stuff, but this is about as high tech as I can get so far. Okay, let's get this valve cover back on. Okay, taking the valve cover off, 8 millimeter, 1/4 inch drive. I use a 6-point, no, I have a special tool for that. And inch-pound torque wrench, spark plug, of course. And to get the core rail bolts, comes up to being a T40 Torx 3H drive. And they're right at about 20 inch-pounds, not much. Now getting the valve cover off was a bear. I thought I'd never going to get that thing off. I didn't know, I even took the spark plugs out thinking the spark plugs helped hold that down. No, they don't. So I learned. You may be learning with me as well with this video. Don't know. But for spark plugs don't have to come out, I took some paper towel, put them in a hole. The valve cover is plastic. Basically just about like battery plastic. It's brittle. So as you get all the bolts loose, they won't fall out. Come up to where they jiggle a little bit. They don't come up, they're cap bolts. And take a pry bar gently, and you can tap with a dead blow brass plastic end hammer, and don't take much, just tap it. Either end, but I use the plastic one. You can hear it, dead blow. And a small pry bar, 8 inch, and go around what you can get to, because there's no lift points on this valve cover. And just ease it around, tap it a little bit, it'll finally vibrate loose, but you'll think you're going to break it. Just be careful you don't, because it's plastic, and well, you know what that means. Time for another valve cover. So let's get working to get this put back on. It comes on, goes back on the same way it came off. And so far, the seal is staying in place. Should. Oh, one thing I am going to do, I just noticed. Okay, give me a second. Oil dipstick. Just be on the safe side, just take it out and lay it off to the side. Oh yes, by the way, let me get this turned around, give me a sec. I also took out, to make it more convenient and easy, multi-simplicity here, when possible, PCV valve hose. I took that off. Yeah, sure did. And of course, as you can see, I unhooked the injectors. Okay, now let's get this bad boy back together. I almost forgot. If I get the light to shine on just right for you. At least the best I could tell for this, and I haven't done a lot of research on this yet, but by the looks of it, I'm right. And if you find that I'm wrong, please note it down below and let me know. These silver things, the valves don't ride off the camshaft. Rides off of a type of lifter, but they're upside down to me. Yep, all looks good. And the brown spots are residue, like I said, are the carbon and varnish buildup oil. It happens to all motors. Don't panic, don't worry. Regular oil changes, keep it clean. And as you can see on this, I cleaned up the seal surface, but there's absolutely and was no sludge buildup in this head. Now I don't doubt that the motor's just as clean, you could eat off of it, figuratively speaking, of course. But this is the way a motor should look like, taken care of, and not run beating the ground. 154 and change on the clock, and a lot of it's highway miles. Still got the OEM clutch and rear shoes. She's doing super great. Of course, we take care of each other. Okay, now let's get the valve cover on. I think that's all for the other important tidbits. Hope you'll get to see a lot of this. I just can't get this camera any closer and do the work too, so hopefully you'll get to see some of this. I'll try to stay out of the way all that I can. So, wish me luck at this. Okay, valve cover. And the right direction here. And let's get it on. So far, so good. Oh yeah, before you start doing any of this, electrical or not, if you have a safe side, unplug both terminals off the battery, or take them off. First and foremost. Okay, now then. So you can see she's sitting on there. Now, let's see what else I've got. Oops, on my 1/4 inch. Alright, on my 1/4 inch. Here it is. Okay, swap out my 3/8 for now. And let's use my 1/4, which I don't have with me for whatever reason. So, okay. Back to my 3/8. Actually, I can run this down by hand first. 8mm, 6-point deep well. Okay, let's get this turned back around so you can see what has happened and going on. As you can see, she is on and looking good. Oh yeah. A little bit of residue there. We can get this wiped off. There we go. All right, now, as you can see, let me get a little more light on the subject here. This bolt and the one directly behind it here has got the plastic fitting that goes down into it like a dowel. It goes down into the head that lines it up. Now let's see, get another count on this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bolts that hold her down. Now these 2 bolts just hold on to a bracket for the wiring. They just snug down, period. And let's check the spark plug hole, see if anything's not where it's supposed to be, or not yeah, it's supposed to be there. Good, 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 and good. Everything going look good like it should. Like I said, unhook the battery. Both terminals be on the safe side. So let's finish this up. Okay. Now then, for 98 pounds, and let's get it up to 40. 45 inch-pounds to start with. And let's see what we've got. Alrighty. I'm going to drop her down to 20 inch-pounds right now. See how long I can get here. 30. Go. We're gonna go 40. £40 or 40 inch-pounds is more than I thought. I'll go back up 45. I'm getting the feel of this. I don't want to overdo it. So 45. Okay. Okay. First 3 center bolts, torque to 45. I went 40 just by the safe side until I got the feel of inch pounds. I'm used to doing torque in foot pounds. Okay. Let's continue. $45. $45. $45. Stay with the same torque sequence. Now we're going to jump on up to 90. It was supposed to only be 89, but 1 more inch-pound, and I'm going to take it that way. Because this don't break it down into 1 inch-pound increments. My inch-pound torque wrench don't do it in 1 pound increments, so I'm going to do it 45 star pattern, center to outside, 90 inch-pounds, center to outside, jumping back and forth to each end. This will be the last time to torque it. Okay, let's get it to 90 inch-pounds. That's it. Now I'll go back around just to make sure I didn't miss any, which I shouldn't have. There we go. And always with a torque wrench, if it's the click away, when you're done with it, always take it back to zero, keep the tension off the spring. Calibration stays in calibration longer. Or the calibration stays longer. Accurate, I should say. And there we are. Okay, oil cap back on. And now, let's get the spark plugs back in tighter. A lot of torques I've seen over the years of where I buy some tools. I've seen them at yard sales, I've seen them on flea markets. If they're not zeroed out, torque wrenches I have were zeroed out before I bought them, as I looked at them. And if they've been left at whatever torque spec that they've set at, hard to tell how long. With these type of breakaway foot-pound, inch-pound torque wrenches, when you're done with them, zero them out. It keeps calibration in spec. If you don't, the spring lose tension and the calibration goes out, then you're in trouble that way. So right now we're up to the spark plug. And since I took them out, not knowing I didn't have to, I use lithium grease, like coat threads, keep them seasoned up against the aluminum thread of the head. That's never fun with a spark plug seasoned up metal to aluminum. Never fun. 9 times out of 10, she locks up, seizes up, and time to take the head off. If you don't get lucky enough, and you can't torch it or anything because the aluminum, you don't want to start burning or melting. Time to take the head off and have it reworked. Aluminum is notorious for that. Metal or steel and aluminum generally don't work good together, so you got to be careful. Keep the heat down. Aluminum head on this motor, cast iron block. You got to keep an eye on the temp. You don't want to run them hot, or you're in trouble. Unless you can shut off really quick and you catch it and get off the road, or just shut down the driveway. You can get a thread chaser, use a thread chaser, but 9 times out of 10, if you have that much trouble getting it out, you're already in trouble. Never so often, I just take these out, check how the motor's running, and grease them and put them back in. All going good. It don't take much lithium grease, or you can use just plain old grease. I use lithium because I have it. But it's always worked good for me, so unless I don't have any, I'll use regular grease, light coat, put it on. It's a pocketbook saver, a want saver, trust me. I dealt with aluminum heads back in the day. Stripped out, take them off, have to get them recoiled. Back then it wasn't quite as expensive and intricate as it is nowadays. Actually, not a lot of anything is the same back when I first started doing this stuff. Back in 76, 77. Yeah, that's how far back I go doing this. I'm 62 now, so there's the math for you. You have to deal with EGR valves and computers and sensors and all that back then. It was easy to work on your stuff. Almost everything is multi-simplicity. Even rebuilding starters and alternators. One of these days this coming summer, I'm old 22, I'm going to do the old school alternator and a built-in regulator alternator just to show you the parts of what I've done back in my time. But that's just me. I'm just old school and always will be, but I'm having to bring myself up to speed for newer vehicles like I have, 08 and 010. And there we have it. Tight enough they won't blow out, but not tight enough they won't strip. Or that they will strip. Okay, now then. Now for the wiring and intricate system and get her running again. So, hang in there with me. We'll get it. Let's see. Now for the coil rail. Let's get this back down here a bit so hopefully you can see some of this. Right. And that. Just a little bit of extra peace of mind. Make sure the coil rail is sealed. Plastic in. Don't take much. Don't drive it to the floor. Now, let's see what we got here. Okay. Let's see what we got here. £40 coil rail. That won't take much. Just run them down the hand first. And go back and forth. That way you even out the torque. Make a little sequence on it. There we are, 40 inch-pounds. And of course, you know the SOP. Under 30 and lock it out and we're good to go. As a matter of fact, I picked this snap-on inch-pound and Newton meter up at a flea market. Got a real good deal, 10 bucks. That's probably 6 years ago. Don't imagine what it's like on eBay. Being snap-on. Okie dokie. Now let's start getting some of this stuff put back together. Wipe the oil stick off. Put that back in. Alright. And reuse the pipe cleaners. Alrighty. Let's see. More light to this subject. Excuse some of the background noise, it's traffic. Okay. Let's cord off. Don't want to do these too tight. You don't want to stretch or break a wire. So we'll tuck it down in there and we got it. That's on. Now for the injectors. Now hold on a minute. Nope. PCV valve hose first. Then the injectors. Almost got ahead of myself on that one. Okie doke. Alrighty. Get this fish down in here and hooked up. Alright. Let me get injector wiring out of the way a bit here. That's on. Now for this one, for this end, oops, didn't want that to happen. Sometimes it does. Yeah, some of these electrical connections, you got to have this type of hook pick to unloosen them. Okay. Let's see here a minute. Oops, thought I had it. Once you get the PCV valve hose on, press the clip in, give it a slight tug up. If it comes loose, of course you know you didn't get the clip on right, or the hose on far enough. So now that part's done. Over there. Now for the injectors. course, another reusable pipe cleaner. Alrighty. Quick. And put that in. This back on. All right. Okay, I'm going to take this hammer, turn it around. Okay, this oil sensor I'm going to get ready to hook up underneath the motor, the oil pan. This is the one that if the sensor senses lack of oil, no oil pressure because of the pump or oil galleys clogging up, it throws a loop in the computer and it causes intermittent running so you can fix it so it doesn't lock up, blow the motor up. So I'm going to show you what this is because I got to hook it up. I did this, like I said at the beginning of the video, to give me more slack in my wiring for the valve cover. Now if you can see it, right there's the sensor I'm talking about. Front of the motor, there's the bouncer and the main belt, and here is the wiring to it, and there is the clip that I want, and here we go. You hear it? She's clipped on and she's hooked. And let's see what we got here. And by the looks of it, this hooks up to, if I'm not mistaken, the AC, which this car is AC prepped, but not all of it. Compressor, the belt, and the switch for it. And I have AC. The condenser I let off, I changed the radiator. Didn't need it anyway. So I think that's what that's for, because the compressor might be down here in this area. Okay, back up top. Now set the car back down, and I'll go get the key, and let's get her started and see how she does. And hook the battery up too. That's one thing I forgot to bring with me, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back. Hook up the battery and see what we got. She's going to sputter spin a bit. She's got to get recalibrated on the computer because the battery's been unhooked for over a day. So let's do it to it. Okay, let's turn the camera around. Let's see what we've got here. If anything. she's a little bit of rough item, getting herself computerized, and she's running smooth, just like she should be. Well, y'all, that's it. That's what it takes me to change the valve cover, but now I know more in depth on the process and how difficult, sticky it can get to take the valve cover off. So, another 5 years and 40,000 miles, should be ready for a timing belt and another valve cover seal. Now, I've been hearing that these motors can go, with taken care of, up to 350,000 miles. So I'm hoping to get 250 out of this before rebuild, if it can be rebuilt. Technology as fast and every day as it's changing on what I can do with it. So that's all for now. So have a great one, and safe, blessed Christmas to everyone. And once again, like, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Welcome back to my channel. Michael S10 signing off. Have a great Christmas, everyone. And probably a Happy New Year, too, because I don't know if I'll get another video between now and then. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a blessed one. Stay safe.